Welcome to the Superior Adventurers Guild. My name is Chad. This is Altered State Session 0. You might not know what that means, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Anyway, yes, welcome. Thank you for watching this. Hopefully you will like it. Let's meet our players.
Oh shit, that's me first. Hello. My name is Michael. Unlike my character from the other game we play Beyond Saltmarsh, I am a necromancer, IRL. Wait, maybe. We'll get into that later for legal reasons. I am here to destroy things with my mind. I'd like to kill a yak from 1,000 feet away with mind bullets. That's telekinesis, Kirk.
Hey, what's up? My name is Andy. I also play Runehammer Games in our Ghosts of Saltmarsh game, and Corbin Brindal in our Curse of Strahd game. This is my first time, playing something other than Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm really looking forward to it.
My name's Kirk. I'm going to be playing a robot in this session. Never done that before. Well, actually I have, but it's a totally different story anyways. You might recognize me as Byron Hearn from Saltmarsh, who's very crafty. My character in this session is going to be the opposite, intelligent.
I'm excited to see that, Kirk.
Yeah,
Don't
right?
do that.
Hey, I'm Dave. You might know me as DM Dave from Saltmarsh and Strahd. I'm excited to step outside the Dungeons and Dragons rule set and try something different. I'm excited about this index card RPG, and it's going to be fun to play. So thank you, Chad, for doing this. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for playing. I would be just a weird person by himself on the screen if it wasn't for you, my friends.
Now you're a weird person with friends.
That's true. There's only a small difference. All right. So for those of you who are watching, let me give a little introduction. So we're going to be playing, as I said, a game called Altered State, which is a setting / slightly modified rule set for the index card RPG published by Runehammer Games. This, of course, is also published by Runehammer Games, written by Alex Alvarez, and as you will see at some point later, the art is all fantastic, and it is done by Brandish. He has a lot of different names. It's a thing. But anyway, you should check out Runehammer. If at the end of this video or set of videos you're like, this seems cool, I want to check it out, do it. It'll be great. So what is this game? It's a cyberpunk game, which means, there's robots, there's hacking, there's guns, all the things that you really like about cyberpunk. Maybe some weird skin-tight clothing or neon lights, all of that kind of stuff. But there's a little bit of a twist. Commonly in a lot of our cyberpunk style games, heroes are very kind of workaday, kind of border on criminals, that sort of thing. When Alex and Brandish kind of created this idea, they wanted to kind of break away from that kind of stuff and make it a little more hero oriented, a little more epic, a little more, maybe a little more D&D scope wise, to get away from some of the things that they didn't like about cyberpunk, or at least the expressions that people play and or write cyberpunk games. I don't want to call any of those games out because they're still super fun games, just different. So let's go around all of our players and kind of get started. We're gonna build characters and kind of talk about context of the players, of the characters, of the setting. So let's kind of get into that a little bit. So my friends, what is a question that you have about the setting or like a character idea or something that you would like answered right now?
I'll start because I'm right behind Chad in the clockwise rotation, and I have one that's immediately relevant to where I'm obviously going with this. Is clearly psychic bullshit exists and is awesome, but how does the general world see it? Am I going full X-Men here, or is there some other understanding of it in the society?
You know, I think it's vaguely given us in the actual rules, but like it's probably a little bit like X-Men kind of stuff. You know, it's definitely not necessarily. It's not Avengers, right? It's not like, oh sweet, there's Thor, or you know, there's Captain America. They have superpowers. They're cool. A lot of the examples that we have of, say, psychic characters or psychic beings are like corporation or government created lab rats. You know, think a little bit like Firefly and River Tam, right? Although the expression of her psychic abilities was few and far between on the sadly short-lived show and the movie, but like some of that kind of mystique, and although this is a little further along, I think in the actual existence of psychic characters, but it is known that there are psychic things around. Depending on where you're at, it may or may not be a little more boogeyman, you know, kind of like, you know, eat your peas because otherwise the psychic police will get you, or I don't know, something like, you know. So
Gotcha. It's weird. It's out there. I have to wear a lot of tight leather with X's on it. Done.
My question's kind of similar to that one. Is I'm giving a lot of thought to playing a mutant, and so one of the things I was wondering is like, are mutants looked at differently than, you know, is there some sort of caste system amongst like AI or robotic and, you know, creatures versus, you know, the standard sort of organics versus someone who's been altered by chemical or biological experimentation?
I think definitely to part of your question, there is a little bit of I guess trepidation. I can't think of the right word, but trepidation when dealing, say, with non-organics, so like robots, artificial intelligence. Not that they're necessarily always viewed or even detected to be viewed as problematic, but there are there are stories that exist in world about very real things like constructs that either are fully artificial and AI and kind of go a little haywire, or there are people that get kind of taken over by AI and used almost as puppets, and some of these AI and being different than us have different ideas about the way things should be. Is that I think that answers at least part of your question. Mutant wise, it depends, right? I think there's so one of the things, and I didn't touch on this quite earlier with everybody in the internet, is one of the key things that sets Altered State apart from other cyberpunk settings is if you think about cyberpunk in the spectrum of technological progression, cyberpunk is generally seen as, say, before sci-fi, right? You have modern times, you have cyberpunk, you have full-on sci-fi. At least that's the way I think about it. Whereas this Altered State is really cyberpunk, but it's after sci-fi. Now, there's, of course, so what that means is this exists in a world, Earth, where as everybody has left Earth for greener pastures in a very literal sense, as Earth's resources have been used up, that has left behind an almost quasi-apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic kind of world that also still has these weird remnants of a highly developed technological society, and we're kind of playing a cyberpunk kind of game in that context, which allows, in this case, for mutants. So there are a lot of different places, a lot of different kind of areas. You have like high-tech cities, some of which still have usable, like neon light, kind of quintessential cyberpunk cores, and then you have a lot of like I Am Legend, you know, like old ruins that aren't really all that old, but they're dark, and some people still live there. And then you have like the fringes where it might be, or the rim as it's called, which is like farming and all that kind of stuff, very low tech, very much normal people. And so mutants, which are, you know, kind of irradiated kind of folk who may or may not have been irradiated, or genetic mutations from a lab. It depends on where you're at, and I guess really kind of what, like, how does your mutation present? You know, are you Beast or are you Charles Xavier? I don't want to necessarily set up like hard, like, oh, in this community they really hate these kinds of folks, because that's not necessarily always fun to play or engage with. But it is gonna, like, I really try to think about it as more of a case by case presentation. You know, if you're Beast and you're a nice guy and it makes sense for the story, like, it'll probably be fine. But if it makes, but at the same time, if we decide that we want, part of what the story we want to tell is the trials and tribulations of a mutant in a fringe farming community, we can do that too, you know.
Sure. Okay, that helps. So I mean, it's case by case.
Okay.
There's no hard and fast rule in terms of hierarchy of classes of society. I'm sure. I mean, basically, in reading the background material, there's definitely a economic hierarchy in terms of the haves and the have-nots in this world, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like one of the big things is that it talks about in the book is essentially like the tippy top of the haves. Actually, we could say all of the haves have left and gone off world, and those who are left, you know, have now, some of which have become the haves, do not necessarily, generally always, as is the nature of cyberpunk, have anyone else's best interest at heart. And then you have a bunch of the have-nots who are just trying to make do. And then you have what your characters are, which kind of are contextually maybe a little bit more haves than have-nots, because of the nature of your existence, which you're essentially mercenaries, operatives, heroes, called runners. Very similar to another game, which we won't name for purposes, but runners. So you do the jobs that people hire you to do, that generally involve clandestine operations or violence. But part of the thing that sets you apart from stereotypical kind of cyberpunk expression is the hero and kind of doing good and doing the right thing for the little folk at the same time.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What do you got, Andy?
I have a question regarding consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have like your organic, enhanced AI, bioengineered, hardwired, awakened, but then you get these pluses to like strength, dex, intelligence, constitution, etc. I guess my question is I don't really know, like, for example, like the character classes, like I could, for example, in D&D, like, you know, you want a fighter with like high strength or high dexterity or something. How does that factor into the character types? Because it doesn't seem like it's like indicated in these like general rundown, I guess.
Sure. So it's in a lot of ways, the system that is Index Card RPG, excuse me, takes a lot from, say, 3rd edition D&D, or ultimately we could just say the D20 system. So, 99% of the time, if you attack with your fist or with a sword, you're probably going to be rolling strength. 99% of the time, or maybe those are bad percentages, but a good percentage of the time, if you're going to shoot somebody, you're going to roll dexterity. And then, if you're trying to convince somebody of something, you're going to roll charisma. Very much the same as you would in D&D. And here in Index Card RPG, we don't have skills. So ultimately, he determined that skills are kind of just a distraction from the base root of the system, which is a stat. So everything is going to be stats. And one of the things that I want to do that is a slight departure is to also kind of use, have a lot of our role, or have the ability for your roles to be more ambiguous than I'm going to punch with my fist, I'm using strength. If given context, you tell me, in the story of your action that, maybe however you're describing it, it reads more of you're using your intelligence, your smarts to fight this guy. Roll intelligence to attack. I don't want to be bogged down by necessarily the kind of standard ideas of those rules, but at the same time, that's not where everybody's going to be, and we're very much in the mode of D&D, so these stats make sense to us in those ways. So ultimately, does that answer your question? Sorry, that might have been a little rambly.
No, it does. And then I guess it just kind of a follow-up to that, like, just being that some of these are enhanced, with technology, does that mean that, for example, like if you have a fully, enhanced brain, for example, that's enhanced with digital bioware, could you be hacked somehow? Could you be, like, decked, as they say, potentially?
Yep.
And, like, if you chose organic, you wouldn't have to worry about that so much?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, if he's read some of the stuff I have, there's plenty of ways to hack a good old-fashioned organic brain once you get to a certain tech level. Basilisk virus suck.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's not like clear cut. It's not like, oh, I can protect myself from this. Like, it's not
necessarily easy to do.
Kirk is going to get hacked. His robot's going to get hacked, and he's going to kill all of us. I already know how this game ends.
I'm really hoping that doesn't happen.
I already know how this game ends.
That's the first thing I'm going to do.
He's going to get hacked and dance.
When we actually play this game, I'm going to have gotten sick beforehand, and then I'm going to be like, I don't feel like it, and I'll just have Kirk get hacked and then kill everybody. That's it. No, not really, but it's a very real. It's a very real thing. But yeah, but it's not right. Yeah, it's not necessarily easy to do. If you think about it, I don't know how deep you get into, say, Ghost in the Shell. There are some very obvious, I think, analogs, and in some of his videos where he talked about creating this stuff, that's one of his big kind of touchstones is Ghost in the Shell, and like those dudes get hacked. Major Kusanagi's like her biggest skill in that series is that she hacks into robots or non-robots. Anybody who has cybernetic parts, she can hack them. So, but again, it's not gonna. It will be difficult, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
What do you got, Kirk?
Oh, now I'm worried about getting hacked. So now I'm rereading everything.
Fear is the mind killer, baby.
My big question was actually answered by Dave's question, which was there a hierarchy? Because I was wondering, like, if there's going to be a prevalence of AIs, chances are I won't stand out as much but I'm kind of thinking of my character as kind of being unfamiliar to
Yeah.
a lot of the world.
And AI's like, while it is a character concept, like it's in the book as one of the starting character options, right? AIs and mechanical bodies aren't super common, right? They might be more common in the setting off-world, but part of the thing is, right, that you're heroes. You're the heroes. You stand out in a lot of ways, and so I think that's why one of the reasons that option is like that. But they're not. It's not like there's a bunch of robots running around, or cyborgs or droids or however you want to connotate them, But they're not. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was about to say, and if I'm, reading this right, the way it's set up, you could even be an AI who's currently tuned into a set of flesh. So you don't have to be an AI and a robot. You could be an AI who's gotten tuned into just a good old flesh and blood body, or even a mutant or something else. And this is a setting element I wanted to get back to. It's like this has that element kind of like Altered Carbon, where or Eclipse Phase is also a good one too, where you can, you might get sleeved into a different kind of body from backup if you die or something like that, as a possibility.
Yeah, that's a good point. Some of you in the internet watching this video might be really confused as to some of what we're talking about. Kind of the key conceit of this game is very similar to Altered Carbon, right? You have your consciousness, which is not necessarily linked to your physical body. So when we make characters, they're going to be picking what kind of consciousness they want to have, and then what kind of body they want to have, and they don't have to be the same, and they don't have to be original, although ideally your consciousness is original. Although with the AI consciousness, maybe you're a clone of the data set of a previous real person. So many cool ideas. Anyway, cool. I think those are some great questions. Now, we've heard a little bit about some of the things that we want to play. And do we want to continue on this kind of contextual sort of side of things, where I ask you some, character-y questions and you give answers, or do you feel like you want to get into some of the mechanical bits and just kind of see where we go organically?
Either way,
I'm down to pitch to you like my concept, the concept that I'm going for, because I think I figured out mechanically how I want to go for it. I think now that I've read through it again.
Okay. All right. So, Dave, why don't you switch to the notes, please? Another cool thing for all of you viewers, hopefully it'll be legible, but I'm writing notes as we talk about stuff, that you will be able to see.
I'm just going to increase the font a little bit.
I was just going to do that.
Getting all fonty.
I better increase my normal font. What?
20.
20. Okay. Oops, that didn't work as well as I wanted it to. There we go. Okay. All right, Kirk. Conceptually, what do you got?
All right, so the way I've been thinking of my character is as an awakened AI hospital security bot of a hospital that hasn't been used in countless years, is probably on the fringes. Maybe it's disrepair. I'm actually Sentinel 7, not even 1 through 6 or beyond. There could be more. But I imagine him as like, I've been guarding this dilapidated hole in the ground for so long, connected to the internet, just waiting for the next patient to come streaming through the ER doors so I can haul them onto a gurney and provide life-saving medicine, perhaps, or first response medicine. In kind of a world that doesn't really have that anymore, maybe with these stacks, I guess. And I think of him like just the Iron Giant. Not that big, obviously, but like think like a big guy who would be, his job would be to lift people up, put them where they need to be, provide their protection, and just got bored of standing there, talking to a bunch of dead friends who were also just like him.
Nice. Interesting. I like it. I like that. Okay.
So so I thought of him as like I'm awakened, so I have my own thoughts and ideas, but I'm also going to have like the uninterrupted code of like, my job is to protect, my job is to heal. And maybe that got a little demented in the hundreds or however long, many years it's been that I haven't been around other people or providing medicine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I kill people if I have to, but for the most part, I'm going to be around to like, oh yeah, this is somebody I'm going to protect and keep alive. This is my job. Like, I am heal here.
Okay. Cool. We can work with that.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Who wants to go next? Tell me your context, your concept.
I've got one as well, actually. Given what I'm kind of shooting for conceptually, I like the concept that the character was part of the upper to mid echelons of the current haves in the actual city, who got the whatever experiments are going on to create psychics at this point, had that happen, and then something went wrong. I imagine there's kind of either a hole in the character's memory, or he wasn't able to get like a full idea of what was happening because he was in some sort of tank of liquid, and he got shunted hard out of the system, and either like full Matrix style body dropped down a chute and dropped beneath the city, or maybe got retuned and just woke up somewhere else, and he's just kind of at this point cut loose in the somewhere in the do not haves anymore, with a head full of psychic powers that are prone to exploding, and he's kind of decided as a personality trait that he likes it better down here. These are real people, and it's a shit show topside.
Nice. I like it. We can definitely work with that damage.
Chad, what's the drug scene like in this? I mean, is that open for our interpretation as we play the game, or is there are there any rules, or is there anything in the book about that?
That is a good question. I don't think there's anything specific.
Okay, even better.
There is discussion. So there is, I think, in some of the loot tables, there is some like combat drugs and different things like that. But I don't think there is necessarily chemical college. Oh, so that's in one of the areas of the world. Drugs and mind-altering chemicals are a part of daily life. In this one place, which we'll talk about at some point. But
okay,
I think there is, there's drugs. There's definitely, there's a lot of bad stuff, and so there's going to be a lot of people who are, kind of looking for an out. And more importantly, I can't believe I said it that way, but there are people who are willing to make money off of people looking for an out, and so there is drugs to be had, to be used for better or worse. If that answers your question. Okay.
Absolutely.
Who wants to go next?
Andy, do you want to go, or do you want me to? Oh,
Andy,
you might be muted.
Sorry. I might be. I definitely was. I guess I don't really have a concept yet.
Okay,
So I'm kind of thinking it up, and
that's cool. We can come
as I
back to
go,
it.
I guess.
Not a big deal.
Okay.
I am thinking about playing a character who is ashamed of his or her background, has lived their life up to this point with feelings of inadequacy because of the mutations that they have lived with since birth. So definitely a mutant sort of style character that has made up for a lot of that by trying to almost erase themselves by the use of drugs. But in order to be able to fulfill that, or to continue that habit, is also a low-level dealer. Not the kind of dealer that's rolling in the dough, but the kind that's just making enough to be able to get some of their own supply. And a little shifty, a little unreliable at times, and just kind of dealing with some of those types of issues. The whole mutant thing is really the backbone of that feeling of self-destruction, essentially.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking so far. And in terms of consciousness and stuff like that, I'm not sure. I was leaning towards awakened. And in terms of type, I haven't really figured that out yet.
Okay.
But certainly operative. And I don't know much about shifter yet. If that would fit this concept or not. Certainly the decker or the operative would fit this, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, can you explain maybe a little bit about what a shifter is?
Yeah. So shifters are kind of the shape changer, a chameleon of this of this setting. There was technology that was created, cybernetic generally, in order to make a person, or to allow a person to be able to look like another person. You have to imagine around corporate and governmental espionage. And so the folks who have, I guess, a skin that has that technology within it are able to make their faces look like another person's face or whatever, and are kind of adept at espionage and working people and doing those sorts of things.
Okay. Well, that might
also evidently wield dope ass katanas, because that's one of the givens in the write up, which is cool, I think. So being stealthy, infiltration, that kind of stuff.
That's pretty cool.
They're pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit ninja, a little bit
roguey
other stuff. Little roguey, yeah.
I think for my concept with this mutant sort of drug user guy, I'm thinking more like maybe guns and maybe explosives. Little bit of a wild card is what I'm looking at playing.
Okay.
Yeah, wild card.
Nice.
Wild card, bitches.
Andy,
yeah.
Don't feel like you have to give me anything right now. We're gonna keep rolling a little bit in some context stuff. I'm gonna ask these boys, and ultimately you as well, just some questions to help kind of get into some more of this stuff. So keep thinking, and then if you are at a point where you say, "Hey, I've got a thing," let me know. And we'll cut to
I mean, that's generally something I like to think about for a while, and I guess I'm just seeing like all these character types now, so I guess I don't have anything concrete set up yet. So, but yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Let's get a little bit more into some context, right? So as I said, you are a group of runners, and more importantly, for our over context of this being a thing, a game, you all, of course, know each other and are going to have a context together. So let's start to build out a little bit about what that means. So where's my?
So we have a history together already prior to the
Yep.
beginning of this
Yeah.
this
Yep.
one shot. Okay.
Yeah, you'll have a history, and we're gonna dive a little bit into that. So we're gonna kind of start. You kind of gave me your individual ideas. We're gonna then talk a little bit about the group, and then we're gonna kind of bring the group and character context together shortly as well.
One of the things that I was curious or wanted to bring up is just this idea of Kirk's Sentinel robot and the idea of it having been sort of extricated, is that a word? Extracted from its previous locale in this ruined hospital or whatever it is, Kirk, that, you know, is that something that could potentially have brought us together? Maybe that was one of our previous runs brought us there, or something along those lines.
I actually had a thought about that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Mostly because, either way, my character either fell out of a hole full of liquid or woke up in a new body. Either way, it strikes me that an old disused hospital would be a logical endpoint for that motion.
Mm-hmm.
So at just some point, my character wanders out buck naked into the main security bay at one point and went, "Where the hell am I?"
And that's where you would. Are you saying that's where you would have encountered the robot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because that's a great connection point, at least for those two characters.
Yeah. Right.
I like that idea. I like the idea of just running into all of you at my place where I've been for so long. Like, oh, what are you doing in my home? Let me help you.
Hospitals are full of drugs, I'm told.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what if, like, that's a really that's a super cool idea. So what if, like, part of the system that is this hospital that was probably largely automated at some point, other than, like doctors and some nurses and stuff, like, what if there's still, like, essentially, not necessarily like AI level stuff, but essentially these robot ambulances that are going around in, unused portions of the city and, like, picking up people and bringing them back. So, like, this place is, like, known as like anybody who lives in this area is like, oh, we don't go in that place because it's haunted, because there's, like, still, like, computer stuff and robots and AI that happen there and do stuff. And so maybe that would be that's such a cool idea for how your characters, like, ultimately got together, is you all got picked up and brought to this place and hopefully got put back together in a good way. Oh, that would be cool. But obviously that's your choice to make.
Well, and perhaps there's even something more behind that in terms of whoever, either we know or we don't know the people that are hiring us, right? We're doing jobs for somebody. Perhaps the people who, it's almost like that unseen benefactor that potentially orchestrated some sort of a coming together at this location. Like, maybe it's kind of a lair or something behind the scenes that nobody really knows about. It's just these robots are doing business that they were programmed to do, bringing bodies to this place. Maybe there's somebody who sorts through the bodies and goes, ooh, I like that one, and I like that one. I don't know. I'm going to put this team together, and I'm going to send, this is my team now. I own you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. I'm into it. Unseen hands putting together the pieces. Nice. I like it. No, I don't want to do that. No, I do want to do that.
We all want to do that.
I like that. Is everybody into that? Because I'm really fucking into that.
I could definitely
Hell,
see.
yeah.
I could see my character having had, like, a massive drug overdose situation and was picked up by one of these robot paramedic type thing, and brought here, and then fed a healthy stream of narcotics to keep him, to bring him back, or to enhance him more or something like that. Yeah, I like it.
I might be skilled in providing you antibiotics and narcotics.
You got something stronger than that, man?
Ah, yes. Allow me.
Oh, yeah.
Michael, would you say that do you think that your character getting to the hospital was like that initial fall from grace?
Yeah, I like the concept that he just woke up there one way or the other, possibly like in a dark back room that hadn't been used in 70 years, and has like from the wrong side of the lobby wandered out to wherever the robot works and just went, what the fuck? Where am I? Why does everything hurt? Why do you taste like blue?
Yeah. Nice. Why do I know what blue tastes like? That's the real question.
Or he wasn't there yet at that point. That could also have been, I mean, we could be 6 months from there, 2 days from there, a year from there. Who knows?
So here's a question for Kirk. Kirk, were you always AI, right? Were the security robots always robots? How much, and if so, how much autonomy did they have? And blah blah blah. If continuing on this line,
So
what if got you to be AI?
Okay, so the way I thought of it was, imagine like a hospital where it cuts out a lot of the middleman. So it basically like not even like pretty distant future, but not that distant in reality, where you get to the hospital, you're processed, your insurance, you're scanned, your basic diagnostic basically is done entirely by a robot. Where you first get in, they just pick you up, put you down, they run a full body scan, they check they scan to make sure you're a human or whatever you are, they find out what's wrong with you. And then I'd just be the person who does basic stabilizing / minor procedures, and then I would shift them on to doctors.
Okay.
So I'd be like the front door, and it would be always automated, always AI. And the way I originally thought of it was, like, I'm one of many sentinels of this hospital, like the first line of defense for the unhealthy to get treatment. But I would be the only one still functioning.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be taking in, like, it wouldn't be like I'd see an ambulance pull up. It'd be like somebody collapses in front of me, and I'm like, oh, I'll pick you up and put you through the basic diagnostic thing and send you on to the doctor, and then maybe they end up in a room and they never get seen by a doctor because there are no doctors.
Right.
And then I thought of it as like, I've been there for so long not helping people that I've just been thinking, like, what am I gonna, like, oh yeah, I'm ready to do this, like, oh, and so at the first opportunity that I can heal or be helpful as a hospital doctor, I'm gonna, or a hospital bot or robot or whatever.
So if I piece things out of what you're saying, you weren't necessarily aware originally. You were a programmed automaton with some very intelligent algorithms, and then over this period of time of kind of disuse, you've done kind of the movie awakening. Like, you're standing there one day and, oh, I see this rabbit again. Oh, what's a rabbit? Am I a rabbit? This slow kind of, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, I'm a person.
Yeah, basically.
Cool. Awakened over time. Nice. I like it.
Oh god, an emergent AI.
Emergent. That's the best kind of AI. it's usually the worst kind of AI.
I didn't see that.
In movies.
That's the kind that
Actually, it's
end everything.
yeah, right.
And my prediction stands that Kirk will be the one that causes our death.
Okay, I like this. I like where we're going. So let's. You're doing all right, Andy. You're following along. You're still working those gears. Yep. Okay, cool.
Yep. I'm kind of. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
No, I was just thinking like that team dynamic where we were being kind of like brought together by somebody. I was kind of thinking that maybe I'd be a Decker.
Okay.
To kind of round out some sort of, team, I guess.
The
Nice.
Actual professional.
I like it.
Yeah.
Decker.
But
I'll write
that,
down
I
an
guess
actual professional. Do you want to be an actual professional?
like an actual, like, I don't know, professional what?
Like it'd be
Like-
so. Like if we talk scope, right? Ultimately, where we are at now versus where we are at, like now when we actually start the session, versus where we are at in our minds conceptualizing thing now. You are all now professionals, right?
Yeah.
You've all existed and done this runner work, right? But I do like. Michael adds a really cool point, like. Or / you as well do, like if somebody is intentionally putting this group together, wouldn't it make sense to have somebody be an actual professional from the beginning?
Like Andy's Decker kind of knows the history behind how we came together as part of that, maybe?
Well, I guess, I mean, and that may be, and I'll leave that up to you guys. But my thought was, his character actually, before you got together, has a history of, being a runner or being an operative, and kind of you had done wet work or whatever before our group genesis, whereas these guys are kind of new to it.
Andy brought us together.
It's kind of the way I, yeah, like because that also sounds really cool, and gives me fun things to continue to work off of. But if that's not what you want to do, again.
No, I mean, I'm still trying to think of a backstory, but yeah, no, I would be, I'd be down with that.
I think the real takeaway from this for all of our viewers is to learn that under the gun, I cannot spell.
None of us can.
I got your back. I love spelling.
Uh,
I do it for fun. Sometimes I just say hard words and I try to spell them.
okay.
Didn't you win the spelling bee when you were 14, Kirk, or something? I remember you have a story about that.
I have one spelling bees.
What was the word?
awesome.
What was the word when you got the Minnesota State Championship? You had to spell that one word at the end. What was it again?
I never made it to a state championship for spelling.
You told
I made it.
Dude,
I made it to nationals in foosball.
You told me that
That's
you
a lot
won
different.
the state championship spelling bee when you were 14.
He may have lied to you.
No, I've
That's
never done that.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Cool.
It's
All
gotta
right,
be someone else.
let's carry on. Let's dive a little deeper.
Dig a little deeper.
So let's talk about motivation. So let's start with Kirk, because Kirk's on the top of the page. Kirk, we've talked a little bit about it more already, I think, but like, what's your motivation as a runner? What's like, why do you do this work?
I hadn't thought of that. I thought of it more of I would meet people who would give me as an AI who's never left this hospital, if I'm meeting them at the hospital, or somebody else would be giving me a purpose in that, oh hey, I'm awake now, and I have this experience helping people who are injured or ill, and you need my help, and I'd love to help you. It's what I'm made for.
You guys, so we could say that you've kind of, you know, become friends or colleagues, and so you're kind of still in the mode that you have always kind of been in. So your motivation is really to be there for them, to help them, to keep them alive.
Yep, precisely.
Okay.
There could even be, like, you could say that I have a directive written into my code or something to specifically help people of a certain level of, like if there's a benefactor, an unknown benefactor, maybe he works for a corporation that, when triggered against these AI, makes us go, oh, this is somebody that my directive is to keep alive. Like,
Sure.
Regardless of means, I don't need any permission at this point. Or something like that. That just crossed my mind.
Cool. I like it. Michael. Hello.
Hello. Hello there.
What's your motivation? Why do you do this, like, work, be a runner? Why are you a hero?
Because I think after his brain cleared from everything that happened, he settled on perhaps one of the more stereotypical cyberpunk themes and motivations, which was he wants to burn the system down. They turned him into a science experiment, and while that has paid off, they're assholes, and they need to be dealt with. All of them, the whole system. Just burn it all.
Okay. I like it.
He's
Dave.
got, like, his mutant buddy. He's got a, doc robot. He's making his own Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Right. That's fair. Dave, how about you? What's your motivation? What keeps you in this business?
Addiction.
In the hero game.
Addiction to chemical stimulants, as well as just the rush of making things blow up. Very straightforward.
Nice. What, okay. Yeah, I like it. You ready to interject anything, Andy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, generally, like, the writing's on the wall for this kind of Earth at this point, right? Like,
Some would say so.
the haves, a lot of the haves, the wealthy, have, like, fled the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what's left now is kind of, he's definitely in it for the creds, for the money. And I think with, like, an end goal as having kind of, like, maybe like an escape plan, or like maybe he's a little bit of a prepper, doomsday prepper type, where he's, like, kind of saving up for that ultimate rainy day where he can
Get a ship and get to Mars.
execute his plan to, like, get off world and get to some greener pasture.
Get your ass to Mars.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. Okay. Do any of you have any more responses to a question beyond that motivation, to a question that would be worded as such? What is your moral core? And or is it beyond anything we've talked about? Are you not worried about it?
I think my character has definitely fallen hard into the kind of anarchistic approach to life, which is no laws, no gods, no masters. Just let everybody figure it out.
Okay.
I would say any moral imperative for me would be, if you're a friend, I would not do nothing but heal you. If you're a threat, I will destroy you.
Okay.
Good binary approach. I like it.
It's all
Are
ones
you
and
a
zeros.
one? Yes. Are you a
There's
zero?
Oh, which one? He won't tell us.
It's ones and
There
zeros.
is no gray area.
There's
Right?
no gray area. I like it. It makes sense though with a machine.
Yeah.
It has to compute in some way or another.
Okay. Let's separate things. So one of the cool things that this system does, which some other systems also do, is incorporate things like links and bonds. So we're going to kind of do that. I'll explain what that means. So a link is what we could call a professional connection, right? Somebody who you have a history with, might be a sort of favor economy sort of thing. You did something good for them, so they owe you, and maybe you have this history of that. Somebody that you can, call in a favor when stuff goes really weird, or you need, you need I can't think of the word, where you need something. You need a lead. A lead, that's the word I'm looking for. When you need a lead, and maybe that they happen to be in a position to offer or have access to a lead, whatever it is. And then a bond is a more personal connection, like a family member, a childhood best friend.
Are these links
Not
and
a dog.
bonds within the party, or are these external to the party?
External to the party.
Got it.
So what, what does, so like what's one professional connection that you have? And it could be, and ultimately what, like, kind of the sort of thing I'm looking for is, like, I know Jimbo, he works in accounting at, Star Corp, or, Ross is a beat cop in one of the places that actually has cops, or, or whatever. Somebody that you can actually call up if you need to.
I've got one.
Oh, sweet. Dave.
So there is a mid-level drug lord.
Okay.
Don't know his name quite yet, but I was thinking that the name of the gang that he runs is called the Dragon Fang. My character has built a relationship with him purchasing drugs, but then also hiring himself out to do jobs in exchange for creds and substances. And that he often has jobs that he'll farm out to my character.
Okay.
And it's usually the shit work.
Yeah.
It's like the stuff that he doesn't want to necessarily be associated with.
Cool. Anyone else have a link?
I have. Admittedly, I just went over to the page for links and had browsed through them really quick, and I liked the concept. One of the ideas that we flesh out, obviously, is I like the idea that my character has taken up and is associated with, or at least is very partial to, any group of freedom fighters or anarchists.
Okay.
Some group kind of down in the underside that, it has a similar viewpoint that he does, which is, maybe we need to burn the system down and start something over. So, either an anarchist or a rebellion group of some kind.
What, where are they at in the hierarchy of this group?
I imagine my character probably knows someone in the mid to upper management of it, or a mid to upper leadership. Just because how many people do you know that can blow things up with their mind? He probably got big attention at some point and got introduced to a leader type person. It's like, we could really use you for the fight. And while my character wasn't entirely ready to join up and really be a part of whatever they're going on with, he has deep sympathy for them. And while he may not necessarily be a member, he's definitely done them several favors.
All right, I like it. Also, you bring up a great point. For the other two of you, on page 21 of the PDF is the links and bonds page, which has a table, well, two tables, one for each of them, that has some ideas of the sorts of things or people or whatever that could be your link and or bond, or as a place to start your brain working at any rate. So Kirk, who would be somebody, given your character, that outside of the group that you have a link to?
Okay, so I have actually a link and a bond, I would say.
All right.
So for
they can't be the same person.
No, they aren't.
Okay.
So the link that I would have would be the company that I work with, or that I worked for. Maybe it's not a lot left of that company, or maybe it's still a huge megacorp or something.
Okay.
But the hospital that managed it, I would know basic access codes. I would have credentials to this series of hospitals, or this corporation that runs this hospital or ran this hospital.
I like the sound of that.
And then for my bond, I would say I have a trusted associate.
So here, real quick. So who's the specific link, the person that you know, with or construct or AI or however you want to conceive of it, but who's the specific, like if you were like, hey, I need access to, outpost 1 2 3 4 5 or hospital 1 2 3 4 5 in our system, who would you call up? Who would you be able to call up?
I think I would call up like the main hospital switchboard, basically. Like I would communicate more with the computers than I would the people.
I was so hoping you'd say the pharmacist.
Well,
so
that
maybe
goes on to my link, or my bond, I mean, because like
so maybe then like you have a connection to the essentially your AI counterpart or whatever, or algorithmic counterpart that runs the switchboard. You know the operator.
Yeah, basically the operator. The operator.
We go way back.
Yep.
That you know as the operator.
Yeah, that works for me. And so I would say like that's my link.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have an emotional attachment to this. It's just something I've done for so long. I'm linked to it.
Yeah.
The bond that I would say that I have would be an ex-associate who I trust.
Uh-oh. Oh. You might be frozen.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think he froze.
He's system rebooting right now.
I hacked him already.
Darn robots.
Ha
Hold on, rebooting.
He'll be back.
All right. Yeah, let's come back to him.
They always come back.
Hopefully he realizes it. I'll send him a message here.
So do we need to have a link and a bond? Is that the idea?
Trusted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
it might not even be stuff that necessarily comes up, given our context of like one session.
Right.
But maybe it will. Maybe it won't. That's kind of why I want to do it. I want to try to treat this as if it was a actual regular game.
Right.
He's back.
Sorry about that.
You back?
That's okay.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I could still hear all of you, and I was still, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah, your video just locked.
Weird. All right. I don't know where I left off.
Your former associate.
Okay, so I have a former associate, ex-doctor, who I trusted punitively. Like, basically, they were somebody I worked closely with. The person probably I would shift work, or like, basically, I'm line 1, they're line 2, so I'd slide them onto line 2. And they worked for the corporation for a long time as a trusted doctor until they had a falling out with the company that I was attached to, and they decided they'd rather quit, make a ton of money dealing death instead of health. And I would say they're somebody I trust, but that maybe I haven't talked to them in a long time, but I feel like if I had an emotional attachment to anything, it would be towards this doctor who I haven't seen in a while.
Okay.
And they would know me too as Sentinel-7.
All right. And this is the doctors are people, not robots.
I would say he's probably synthetic. So he started out
Yeah.
probably biological and slowly was modified synthetic.
All right.
Because he's rich, he could afford to do that.
Hey, he's a doctor. Yeah. Dave, did you have a Bond?
Yeah,
idea?
I was just coming up with that. So I've got a love interest who is a pharmacist that I have I have essentially been stringing along so that I can get strung out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those relationships of manipulation, but someone still that my character would care about, but that is leveraging for their main motivation, which is addiction.
Awesome. So is that person a girl?
I would say it's a sort of a non-binary kind of idea at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not really sure if my character is going to have, what they're going to have for gender identity, to be honest with you.
Sure. All right. Michael,
Hey,
tell me about a Bond.
I'm thinking my character has a cousin who's in corporate security, or CorSec, as some of the cool kids say, and is one of the only people that probably knows my character is still alive. And since they were close growing up, so they still maintain a relationship now, even being on the other side of various conflicts occasionally. They occasionally get together, sit down, and have a cup of coffee somewhere away from everything else. And they usually end up screaming at each other about philosophical differences. But then they get up to it's like, all right, next week, yeah, next week, see ya.
Okay. Nice. Hello, Andy.
Hey.
Do
Well,
you have
so
any
Link
ideas
is
for these
kind
games?
well, I was thinking just like backstory wise, I think that, perhaps my character he had to have learned all this stuff somewhere. So I was thinking like maybe in some kind of security force, but I'm not thinking like a state, kind of like more like a Blackwater, like hired mercenary type of corporation that does like private security. And that's where he got his training, perhaps.
Okay.
For a pharmaceutical company.
And I was thinking and maybe his Bond was like somebody that was like or I don't maybe this would be his Link, I guess, I don't know, but maybe like a friend, or like maybe like a sergeant or somebody that was like slightly above him at this company. He's since kind of left the company in for more like personal interest. He got kind of tired of it, I guess.
Okay.
I'm just thinking. Yeah, I guess it, so. I don't.
You want that to be
I'm
your
not
link?
quite-
Like you have a contact of a person that you used to work with in whatever this.
Yeah. With this like private security
Okay.
firm or like corporation. And I guess I'm not sure on a bond right now.
Okay. Not a problem. Let me bring up. I have a little bit of things done. Let me just bring up one thing. Oh, here we go. So why don't we go ahead? I'm going to drop a little bit of stuff in here. So I like this. I like what we're doing. Everything that we're doing is great. So this mercenary private security company is called Varg. V-A-R-G. Varg.
Oh, V-A-R. Varg. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were, say, Swedish, you would probably say it Varg. Like more like Warg.
Oh, okay, right.
And they're kind of yeah, they're like super high end, like they're kind of like they're almost like the boogeymen of like the runners, like, oh shit, you know, like, oh, these guys have Varg as their security, things are getting, the pay is going up, you know, that kind of stuff, because they're well trained killers. Hence their cool name, Varg.
Nice.
And the name of all the mechs in one of my favorite RPGs. Good call.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Let's put this context on hold a little bit. Let's get into the mechanical advancement of your characters. Let's get into that. We've already done some of it, because you've of course already talked about your consciousnesses and skins. Some of you have, which is the starting point. So ultimately, you pick your consciousness. That gives you some stat increases. You pick your skin. Skin will give you a pool of stat points, as well as it may or may not give you a tag. Tag is like a keyword that's something that may or may not have an actual mechanical link to it, but is also a narrative cue of things that you have. You know, for instance, the synth skin type has the resilient tag, which means mechanically that they resist environmental hazards, or rather rolls to resist environmental hazards are easy. And then of course, if there's some kind of narrative thing that were to come up that we would be able to key in off of your resilienceness, we'll also do that. So it's kind of a amorphous concept, but also have a little bit of mechanical modification. Yeah, so Michael, Kirk. So you're going full construct, AI and construct.
Yep. And I chose EXO as well for my
as your cool. EXO is like EXO is hard for me because, like, as a person who's played in a lot of games, EXO, the the specific concept of this class or type is that you're essentially, ultimately, you're Iron Man. You use power armor. But there's not like rules for power armor. That's just part of, it's just so much a part of your character that it's amorphous, which is hard for me. A part of my mind, like, where's my power armor? Why isn't this a part of your? So when we're creating your character, when we're actually picking stuff, we can be, if you want, we can be specific too. You can say, I make this choice for this thing. This is going to be on my power armor versus this part of this choice is going to be a thing that's actually in my robot body or whatever, or a tool that I hold and use.
Okay.
When we get to the part where we're picking like gear and modifications and stuff, so that we can, so that if you want, we can delineate. Yeah, and I want to be absolutely upfront with everyone right now, because I just said that. Because of the nature of Index Card RPG is loot, right? So, actually, this is one of the first variants of Index Card RPG where they had things like these like character tags where you have actual like abilities that you have. But ultimately, the nature of everything is loot. So having a cool piece of loot, you're going to get some modifiers. When you're using that loot, you get them. But the other nature of Index Card RPG is I can and will take it or destroy it or turn it against you.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I like that.
So be aware
Well,
of that. So be aware of that.
I noticed on the weapons section that you roll a 1 and your gun jams or is instantly destroyed.
Yep.
Like, and that happens with your swords
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Unless you have one of the unbreakable swords. So are we just gonna be like going through weapons? Like, I know it's probably not
I feel
high
like
probability, but
it's gonna
I roll
be
a lot of
yeah,
ones.
It's gonna be like Halo up in here. You're gonna be firing, jam,
Yeah.
pick up the dead guy's gun. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
great.
100%.
Oh, okay.
Thankfully, it's a one-shot, so it's less of a concern.
Yeah.
But that makes it more of a concern because you don't want to be caught without a weapon. You roll 2 nat 1s in a row.
That's why you get one of those integrated ones into your hand.
I considered that.
Yeah. So what are you thinking about, Kirk, for your tag?
The tag being like, that was
As
easy.
your extra,
You
your
owe me
extra
one.
tag. Nice. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Very cool. So then also, so as a construct, you will sadly only have 4 extra points to put into your stats.
Yep.
And if you don't know, this is a good time to talk about it. Your stats are. Hang on, let me hop all the way to the character sheet. So your stats are not just the 6 normal stats that you have. Your stats include your armor and your effort. So one of the big things that kind of sets this apart from, say, Dungeons and Dragons, is that we have effort dice, which are on the character sheet. You have basic effort, augmented effort, gun effort, healing effort, and ultimate effort. So anytime you're rolling, say, damage with a gun, if you roll to hit a normal way, you roll damage, you're always going to be rolling, unless it says otherwise, you're going to be rolling a D8 or gun effort.
Is that in addition to the damage from the gun itself?
So so a lot of the guns will say things like rolls this or rolls that instead. And some of the guns have like some weird extra verbiage, but some of the guns are you just end up rolling gun effort. And you can put your stat points into your effort. So if you're like, I want to be really good with guns, you could pump a bunch of stat points into your effort and just automatically, no gear, have like a +2 or a +3 to your gun roll or whatever. The ultimate effort, anytime you roll a natural 20 on an attack roll, you will roll ultimate effort in addition to your normal effort for whatever you're doing. So if you're shooting a gun, or if you're hitting somebody with your cybernetic arm or a sword, that'll be augmented effort. Or if you're decking, you're doing some kind of cyber attack, that's augmented effort. And then basic effort is for normal people's fists. Tool usage. Sometimes I might say, we might say have a classic trope, right? You have a locked door and you need to pick a lock to get on the other side of it. If it's a sort of thing where doing it over time is going to build tension in the scene, like there's combat going on behind you, but it's the kind of combat that you need to get away from. So you have to like work at this lock because it's like a super good lock. It might be that it'll be what's called 1 heart, which is 10 hit points, or it requires 10 points of effort. So you'll roll effort and you'll roll like say a d6 unless you have a tool that says you roll something else, or the d4 rather, and then we'll cumulative up once you get that 10. Once you get that full heart of effort, be like, sweet, it's unlocked. Sometimes I use it for stealth. So if you're stealthing, I'll have you roll effort, and it might be that the people looking for you will essentially, instead of rolling a skill check, will roll effort against you. And if their effort, it's just a different way to roll it and think about it. And same with armor. You can just be inherently armored, so you can spend your stat points into your armor. The only kind of quote stat that you don't spend these stat points into is hearts, which equates to your hit points. So 1 heart equals 10 hit points, which is good that Kirk is playing a robot person, because that means he starts with 2 hearts. And there will be ways to which you're gonna have looked at the gun section and say, oh boy, this is gonna go bad, which is not wrong. But you're not going to be playing necessarily second level or first level characters, as it were. So there will be the option once we get past this point to have more hearts.
I love it.
But that doesn't mean you have to do it. Cool. So let's see. All right, Michael.
Hello, I'm here for your brain.
What are you thinking about for consciousness and sleeve?
For consciousness, I'm thinking enhanced, just because I imagine enhancing a brain is how you make it psychic, or they did in his case. And I was going to go with organic, which is to say it's either his natural born body or what he woke up in retuned to. Nothing fancy, just, look, it's a meat. Oh, okay.
Okay, so your consciousness is enhanced, the digital BioWare. Ooh, which sounds really cool. So maybe in your case, the cybernetics or whatever that's inside the machine parts in your brain are what allowed you to access the psychic powers latent within you.
Oh yeah, that was my thought. It might not be cybernetic. It might be like, organically grown, extra bits and nodes, like biotech as well.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of weird shit in there, and we're not going poking around.
Yeah. So this is a little bit, yeah, I like it. Okay, cool. Hello, Andy.
Hey.
Do you have any ideas yet about your consciousness and skin?
I like the I guess I don't know. I'm going back and forth between synth and human. I guess I don't know. The resilient tag, environmental hazards.
Yeah, so essentially, yeah, synths are essentially like, functionally, you're human. You're like
organic.
You're like
but
you were a biological construct made by other humans in a science way instead of the normal biological science way that we make other humans.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go human. I'm gonna go full human.
Okay.
But then go with the enhanced brain as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
I like it. And Dave, you're a mutant.
Damn straight.
What's your brain? Are you going awakened mutant?
Yeah.
Going full mutant?
Yep.
Yo, dog, I heard you like mutants.
Full on.
Nice.
The brain's all messed up by contaminants.
And do you have an idea as to the nature or the origin of your mutation? Like, are you like, do you have a family history of mutation, or like, is it like the radiation type of mutation, like Fallout kind of stuff?
I think what it was,
like,
it has to do with some sort of absorption of chemicals during either the early stages of development, or I don't know if probably early stages of development, possibly even pre-birth exposure to chemicals that probably resulted from the location in which he was born and raised.
Okay. Cool.
The cesspools of this strange new world.
Of the Undercity.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Oh, and had you decided on you? Oh, I think you had said you were thinking about operative, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go operative.
Nice.
I was thinking about going shifter, but that seems like it just would take too much discipline for this particular build.
Sure.
Yep. I just want to pull triggers and cackle and laugh.
Yeah.
It's a good way to be.
And Michael is obviously a psychic.
That is what my character sheet says, as well as everything else happening in my life.
Nice. So yeah, so go ahead and move your stat points around.
Do you have any starting stat points at all, or is it just based off your skin?
Just based off your skin, and then the bump that you get for your consciousness.
Got it.
And so it's essentially, yeah, I think I explained it at one point as these numbers are essentially just the modifiers, like in your stats for in D&D. In D&D, you have a 15 strength equals a +2 modifier, and we're just shortcutting to the useful part, the +2 part.
Nice.
So numerically, it feels, in some ways, numerically, like I'm still like, oh, my numbers are so small, so few numbers. Like, well, if I think about it, in other games, it's
about right.
Yeah.
Except for the effort thing. The effort thing is what not drains, but it siphons away your points from your stats. So it's like, do I go, obviously I'm going to go, I'm going to put all 6 of my points in gun effort, just so that's just a given.
I thought the points for effort were a separate pool than the points for stats.
Efforts and stats are the same. It's the only thing you can't affect is your hearts.
Yeah, right. So, for example,
I'm looking at page 28 of the player's guide, and it's, step 2 is assign stats, step 3 is assign 4 points in any array to effort, regardless of what your stats are.
What page?
Page 28.
Of the Altered State book?
ICRPG start guide.
The quick start.
Yeah.
Yeah, the +1 that we get for our, for being the enhanced consciousness, what is that? Just I add that to my total once we figure out our stats.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
a straight bump.
So would that go in these?
Yeah, so wherever you allocate your stat points, essentially, if you put any in dexterity, for example, you get to add +1 to that because you are enhanced.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. But we don't have all our stats yet, right? Because we haven't.
Well, no, some of your stats
Yeah.
could potentially be 0.
Yeah.
You have you're a human. Is that what
Yeah.
you said, or synth? You're going human. So you have 8 points to play with
Yeah.
between the six statistic attributes and your effort dice.
And looking at a way to maybe help kind of think about it too, on the character sheet, obviously there's the big circle next to the statistic, and then just up and to the left of the statistic name, like strength, there is those 2 little squares, and so you can use one of those squares is like your innate stat total, whether it's, starting with that +1 from your consciousness or whatever, and then adding whatever points you add into it from your skin. And then the other square for any modifiers that you have that you will get from loot. To give you the total, that will go in the big circle. If that makes sense, as a way to kind of think about it.
It does. I
Okay.
hadn't even noticed the boxes.
So for me as a mutant, I get 6. I get 6 points to add to my stats, and I have 6 points to play with, and I can put those in. I could put 1 or more in strength, dex, con, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, or I could also put them in my effort dice boxes. But I only have
Correct.
6 points, so at the end of the day, if I decide I'm not going to put any in intelligence, my intelligence is going to be 0.
Wait, so the only way we get
And it
points
just-
to add to effort is through the stats?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of divergence here, because ultimately, Michael, what we're seeing, and I didn't necessarily realize this because I haven't completely read the quick start guide, because the quick start guide is essentially version 2.5. That exists newer than the Altered State PDF, and so uses, evidently in this case, includes some slightly different things. But yeah, for our purposes, you have from just what's from your skin and consciousness for stat points and stuff.
So just to recap, kind of, well, I have 2 questions, and we might have touched on this already. So the stats in this game are essentially like they're just they're what we think of as modifiers, right, in D&D, and then they just get added to like whatever roll we make for intelligence or dexterity or whatever, right? Okay.
Yeah.
With that said, what would I, as a decker, what would I want to put more of my stats into? You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
would it be like intelligence or wisdom? Like, I guess I don't know, like, what would help me the most.
Yeah, intelligence is probably going to be your main, like, operational stat for like hacking and computer programming and all that kind of stuff. Is going to be mostly intelligence, yeah, for sure.
Chad, for guns,
And then
what would a stat be?
Sorry.
Is that dexterity?
Dexterity.
Okay.
Okay. And then, how bad is it to have a 0 for something?
It's not bad. So
Okay.
So to give you
Like,
a little
if that
bit
came
of,
up,
yeah, so to have a little bit of numerical context, instead of having essentially like 9 different target numbers, say in a combat in like D&D, because you have a bunch of different stuff going on, you have different enemies, each one has a different armor class. You also are trying to dodge or jump over a chasm, and somebody's trying to pick a lock. And each one of those things has a different target number. We don't care about that shit in Index Card RPG. Each scene has a single target number, which generally starts at like 10 or 11. So anything that you guys do in that scene, no matter if it's fighting somebody, picking a lock, or whatever, you're rolling against that number. Now it could be whatever you're doing for some reason could be hard, or it could be easy, which either means the target number is plus or minus 3. So having a 0 is still like a viable thing, and if that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So Chad, just to make sure I did this correctly, I had 6 points as a mutant to spend. I spent 4 on dexterity because I want to shoot guns good, and then I put 2 in my gun effort, which will help with damage when I do hit. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's how I spent my points. That means that because I have, as awakened, I get a +1 to strength and a +1 to con. My stat array is 1 strength, 4 dex, 1 con, 0 intelligence, 0 wisdom, and 0 charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Good. And then you also get your 1 tag to pick from your operative type.
Oh yeah, I couldn't find any information on the tags. I didn't know what those were.
So if you're a decker, so you get to choose between Child's Play or Found It. So Child's Play, whenever
okay.
you're hacking or jamming any signal, it's easy, which means it has a 3 lower target number than whatever the room is. Or Found It, once per session, you can pull up a detailed schematic of any location because you're a wizard at, you're like the tank in the Matrix,
Yeah.
Right.
I've got it. I want to learn how to fly a Huey. Okay.
Dude, I gotta rewatch that now. That's come up on 2 separate occasions.
Oh yeah.
Oh, one of my tags is called Empty the Mag.
Yeah.
Attack if successful.
I saw
Roll
that.
4d8 damage spread between 1d4 foes. Overrides all other gun rules and has 1d4 round cooldown when successful. Wow. I would say yes to that.
Yeah.
What?
Spray
Did
and
that answer
pray.
your question, Michael? About effort and all that?
Yes, I'm just gonna
Okay,
ignore
yeah.
adding numbers to effort then.
Yeah. You can,
Yeah, I don't
or
understand.
you don't necessarily have to. But you can put, so Andy, you can put numbers, you can put your stat numbers into effort. So no matter what
Where's
you
the
do,
effort? Like I'm not even seeing it.
Right
Do you have
underneath
the-
armor. Right underneath armor. It's those
just to
5
the-
different dice.
Oh.
just to the right of
Okay.
stats.
So okay. What would I don't even know what augmented is.
So augmented is going to be anything that is slightly more than normal human, right? To include cybernetic. So if you have a cybernetic arm and you're punching somebody, you're going to do the D6 augmented effort instead of the unaugmented arm of D4 effort. If you're hacking something and need to roll effort for something, that's going to be augmented effort. The
Page
sword.
6 of the rule book gives you what each of the dice does.
Yes, thank you.
So Chad, if
Of
you
course,
have
yeah.
if you don't have a point in, let's say, like gun, if I didn't have a point, what does that mean? If I hit with a gun,
You're just rolling the die.
Yep.
and so
Yeah,
if I
Gun
have,
effort is always a D8.
and if I have a 2 in guns, I roll the die and add 2.
Yes, sir.
Got
Yes.
it. Yep. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yep. So it's just a flat bonus in the same way that your stat bomb bonuses are flat bonuses.
I love it.
That you add to any of those rolls.
Simple and
Okay,
elegant.
So
Yeah.
And I can take any, like my 8 points that I get as being a human, I can take as many of that I want to put in there.
Yeah, you can, like, technically there
And
are
split up between.
technically there is like a cap on like how many points you can put in anything at the beginning. I'm not really
Okay.
about that for this one shot. But yeah, so you can put though you can split those 8 points however you want between any of your 6 stats, your armor, and any of your effort.
Oh, armor.
Oh,
Okay.
you can use it in armor.
You can use it in armor,
Oh.
Just can't do it in hearts.
just not hearts. Yeah.
And
Okay.
armor is
Yeah, see, this is always the part of creating I'm not great at.
Sure. Yeah, so armor is
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet.
yeah, let me double check. Because I always I always think of it in like 2 different ways. Oh, I know what to do. Control F. Yeah, so oh wait, I don't want that.
Meanwhile, I have a question for Michael. What tag are you going with for psychic? You've got some awesome choices there.
Mega Brain.
Yeah.
Because I want to make rage dice because rage dice just make me happy given what they do.
What do they do?
Yeah, so you know how normally you like, oh, I'm gonna hit someone with my brain using telekinesis. It'd be like, okay, roll the augmented for damage. Cool. If you have rage dice banked, which you can do by apparently taking actions to just store them up, you then go, oh, cool, you've got 2 rage dice. Oh, just toss 2 more d6 into that effort. Have fun. It's gonna be great.
Wow.
Yeah, I really think he watched the first Avengers movie and was like, yes, Bruce Banner, the Hulk, this is how psychics work. I'm always angry.
Or I was kind of
I'm
thinking
always storing
I was
rage
kind of
dice.
thinking Akira almost like
Yeah, or Akira.
just
yeah,
gonna-
absolutely.
I'm just gonna
100%.
blow up this whole city with my brain.
Yeah.
You clearly actually have hit on 2 of my inspirations for how I enjoy playing telekinetics in games like this. Like, I don't need fine control. I just want to crush the tank with my mind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So armor is your armor or the target number to hit you specifically is base 10, and then any modifiers that you have, whether it's an inherent modifier from your either from your skin type, because I think one of them gets armor bump,
Probably robots.
and or anything that you've put into it with your stat points, and then any equipment that you have that adds to armor, and there will be there's options for that. So the other thing, since I think we're all or most of you are I'm gonna key you into the next kind of part as well to think about, which is choose your enhancements, which is down a page on page 15 in the Altered State PDF, where you get to roll or choose for 2 as written cybernetic enhancements, but they don't necessarily have to be cybernetic if you have a interesting way or reason that they would be something else. And that's more ways to get either bumps to any of your stats to include armor or effort, like through tack links or polyresonant skeletons to add armor and additional hit points.
I do like that polyresin skeleton.
Yeah.
So some of this could be part of my mutation potentially, rather than some sort of a cybernetic.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you past the brain melting phase, Andy? Are you doing okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess my big thing right now is like I don't know how much strength will come into what my character does. Like it's hard to say right now.
Yeah. If you don't necessarily think that you're the kind of guy who's gonna, like, if you don't envision yourself as a person who's gonna really be good with strength things, like you do a lot of punching or cutting,
I'm probably not going to be.
I wouldn't necessarily worry about
But
it.
here's the thing about the way this
overly
is
athletic.
set up is you're never going to have a negative,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
You
So
can
it's
always roll
not
the dice.
it's
Yeah.
not like you're bad at strength stuff. You're just not as good as someone who has a bonus.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that's I like that aspect of it. You're not given like a setback because of any reason, like a bad, you rolled your stats and you rolled terribly on your stats and you have like a -3 to intelligence or something, and
So Dave,
you're like average.
I'm sorry.
On
Go ahead.
you'd be like
Yeah.
0. I imagine would be like average.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of leaning intelligence and a little bit of dex, and then, like, Dave, you said you were putting points into your gun effort. So I'd probably. How many did you end up putting into your gun effort?
I'm either gonna do 2 or 3
Okay. All right. And then,
because I
might save
really
one
just want to
for-
be really good at guns.
and we can put one in armor. You said before.
You can put them in armor to,
Okay.
you're just tougher, more resilient in that way, or you're adept at getting out of the way. However you want to analog
Right.
is like in the quick start 2E rules, he just calls it defense instead of armor, which I personally like better. Just as whatever it is as your way of defending, whether it's armor or dodging or being a skilled combatant.
3, 6, and 8, and then I have the pluses from being the enhanced.
And so Kirk,
Okay,
these,
so I think I got it.
nice.
So
Kirk,
and then you
these-
choose your enhancements, which might add to it as well. So
Yep.
Sorry.
So Kirk, these enhancements can, if you want, can be things that are inherent to your exosuit, right?
Yep.
If you want, or they can be a part of you.
Okay, because I was thinking, as I mentioned earlier that I wanted to do biotech lungs, but I was thinking of myself as like not having lungs of my own, probably not breathing air.
Right.
So I thought of it as something that I could use on somebody else. So like, let's say somebody else is poisoned, I could use my biotech lungs to filter toxins out of them, or if they're underwater or something, I could hook them up to my 2 hours of reserve air, and they
Yeah,
could
like,
breathe using me.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have like some like first aid like shit inside of you, because you're
Yep.
of course built as a person who does that first line aid, in the triage room or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then for one of my pieces of equipment, I chose to choose an additional enhancement. And the way I did it was cyber optic implant, basically. So it's still technically gear, so it can be broken, but it gives me the +1 wisdom, movement detection, zoom, and chemical residue trace. And I was just thinking, like, that way I could do 3 enhancements and only 1 piece of equipment.
Okay.
It does mention that in the equipment, which is the next
Yes.
page.
Yep. So what are the 3 enhancements that you're going to take then?
So I'm going with the
The
cyber
biotech
op. So the ones that are going to be part of me are going to be the dermal plating for the +1 armor. I don't take
Okay.
damage from shock effects and damage, basically, because as a robot, that's bad.
That's super important.
And then the biotech lungs are also going to be a part of my character.
Yep.
And then the cyber optic implant is going to be an enhancement that I wear, like almost like the glasses that you see an orthodontist wear.
Right. It's your Google glasses.
Yeah, just pop it down, and now I can detect movement, zoom in, detect chemical residue, and I think that plays with my character as well, because I can
Nice.
use it as like medically. Oh yeah, I can detect a broken bone here. I'm detecting, it looks like you were burned by acid, and I can see that.
Right.
I
Oh,
can
yeah.
analyze it.
I like it.
And then my equipment's obvious, the biotech gel,
Oh, nice.
the,
Yeah.
the healing gel. So
the healing herb.
Nanoclot ready
Get a
foam.
good gel.
Nice.
And I'm just gonna hope I don't get hacked. Andy, keep me alive.
He can de-hack you if you get hacked. It's good.
D-hack.
There we go. I mean, I'm very wise, or I'm very intelligent, so they would have to get through some serious defenses already. I imagine I'd be able to detect if I was being hacked.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that is the hope.
Yeah. So one of the cool things, and I'll touch on this since we do have a decker, is that there are two types of decking kits, right?
Oh, okay.
One is defensive and one is offensive. And the kind of description of them, defensive is really good at doing these defensive things, or rather, it's the good thing about the defensive thing is it's stealthy, right? So it's good at protecting your identity as you're doing stuff. It's good at things like data mining and parsing data and finding things within a system. The offensive kit is really good at taking down security, overriding things, implanting viruses, all that kind of stuff. But it is not necessarily stealthy, right? It is not subtle. You're doing, McCoy Poly type stuff. If you've read Neuromancer, which you should if you haven't. But you're using your icebreakers to break ice, if that means anything to you, I guess. You're doing all the big offensive stuff and not being subtle about it. Whereas the defensive kit is doing security assessments and all this other stuff, and can do that other stuff, but it's not as optimized for it, but it is more subtle.
Right. I could potentially choose both, right? Because you get two.
You could, in fact, choose both decks.
But then I'd have to pass up on some other pretty cool stuff.
I don't think you'd be able to utilize both simultaneously, could you?
I mean, I don't know.
Arguably, you could, but
I would make that a difficult hack.
I imagine getting +6 automatically.
How many consciousnesses are there inside of blah blah blah, whatever Andy's character's name is? It's 2. He's simuldecking. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna write that down for myself.
Oh.
Super hacker. It's 2 people at the same time.
It's a multi-core processor. Hacking 2 people at the
Except
same
the
time.
cores are people.
I have 7 stacks in my body.
Oh, that's going to get weird.
So,
Oh my.
Yeah. You okay with your stats and stuff, Andy?
yeah, I think I got my stats figured out. I was just trying to figure out my enhancements.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna
And we
go
don't
with
have
this-
to get everything
sorry.
set in stone necessarily today either. We've got like a month until we actually play the game. Ooh, that's the fourth wall
Right.
for all you viewers. It's going to be a month before you see us in our time, not in
In
your
your
time.
time, who knows?
Right. I suppose it could be a lot longer. Yeah. So yeah, you get equipment, then you choose 2 equipment types, which are handy things, and then you also get to choose 2 guns, or roll on the table for your guns,
Guns.
or rather weapons. And it's 2 tables of 8, for the 2 pages. But you get to pick 2 weapons as well that you use. And they are all just anime as hell.
They're amazing, is what they are.
I know, right? Gyro
Throwable
blades.
return to their owner.
They're so
Yeah.
good. Gyro blades are so good.
Scattergun. You just don't miss if they're close. Go to hell.
Which is closer, near or close?
Close. Yeah, so distance is close, near, so close, near, and then far. And that's really all of that is signifying is how much of the turn you spend moving. Right? So you can, in combat, you can engage with somebody who's close, hand to hand, right? You can move near and do the same thing. Or you can just move far, right? So in D&D terms, that would be like your dash action, right? But you can move and shoot. You can move close and shoot, or stay near and shoot, or whatever. So it really doesn't have any huge real signifier as to like ranges for like weapons, right? Because realistically, like 90% of these guns are ultimately beyond far, you know. And that's so I think they talk about that in the quick start rules, but we don't have to worry about that because ultimately we're not fully into the quick start rules because this is still the old system. But so some of the things I think, so you know, so like the showstopper grenade launcher hits all targets within near range of impact. You know, so essentially anybody who's in melee range of somebody that you're targeting also gets hit.
For double ultimate damage.
Oh yeah, it doesn't screw around.
Now that is a to whom it may concern kind of attack.
Yeah. And then or you have like the Mac 12, you know, at close or near range, your effort die is a D20 for a single target because you're just matrix unloading that clip, you know. Like, do they do that in Boys in the Hood? I don't remember.
So we picked two pieces of starting equipment and then 2 weapons.
Yeah.
All right.
One from each list. There's 2 lists.
Yeah, and they don't have to be one from each list.
Okay then.
I'm not worried about it. It could be 2 from the same list. That fucking beam gun though.
Yeah, I was leaning
How
towards
many
that beam gun.
D6s do I want? Yes,
Halo,
good.
the Halo 2 right there.
Quake before that.
Right.
If your robot does not have a beam weapon, I will be a little sad. But do what you need to.
Well, I mean, if it runs on batteries, man, I can just literally plug it in and just, you know, charge it off my own battery. Assuming I have a battery, I'm not sure how I'm powered.
Probably a tiny
think
fusion
about that.
reactor.
Yeah, I should think about that.
Razor whip. Razor whip.
Decided to engage my full 1990s trench coat kid and also get a katana.
Of course, absolutely, because they're bossed.
They are in this game. Oh, just once per location. Attack without rolling. Do double augmented effort. Okay. Yes, I would like this.
That's why the slicer is sick.
So some of the weapons can factor into your.
All of them have a special effect of some variety.
Right.
Yeah, even the pistol does double gun effort.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that sounds pretty sweet there.
That's the other thing I got because double effort.
It's good. Yeah.
That actually made me consider. I'm like relocating a point from armor and putting it in gun, so that because I just saw like you get these other bonuses later on that I didn't know about.
Yeah,
so.
there's more stuff. You sure you don't want a Nodachi, Michael?
Just seems like a bit much for a guy with no strength. On the other hand, you know, just
I'm gonna use
turning rage dice into my pool for everything is a fascinating mechanical option. What are you gonna do? I'm just
Look.
full of rage.
I'm gonna cut him in half. How are you gonna do that? I'm really angry. Yeah.
2x.
And then if you're to the point where you're done with weapons, you also get to pick, and it gets crazier. You get to pick
Ammunition.
one ammo type that you
Oh.
have, and one explosive round, or rather, like grenade that you have. And they're bonkers. They're bonkers, boys and girls.
great.
Foes die in 1d6 rounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Intravenous mutagen causes rapid cellular degeneration. Whoa.
We're here to have a good time.
All of a sudden, I feel like we're in Borderlands.
Oh yeah.
There's a certain strain of Borderlands through this game.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting.
Well, I'm taking the extra weapon from the tables or whatever that starting equipment, backup
Oh,
weapon.
nice.
Yes, good.
I'm all about micro bleaching explosives. Spray this adhesive foam and remote detonate for ×2 ultimate.
That's somebody gonna have a bad day for that.
Just grapple somebody and spray foam. Just wheeze the juice, baby.
That's terrible. I love it. I grabbed the EMP grenades because I'm like, you know what? If they've got electronics, I'm just gonna take care of that, and then all they've got is nothing, and I've still got my brain.
Mhm.
Showstopper, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael, you'll get to pick 2 psionic abilities.
Indeed, and I already have.
Nice. Which ones did you pick?
Hurl and shield.
Nice.
So hurl is the I'ma just throw things around, and shield is just the nope shield. Oh god.
Yep. Nice. I like it.
Here's a question for you, Chad.
Yeah, man.
Keeping track of ammunition.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So the only time we're really going to care about it is if it's your special ammo.
Okay.
So that number in parentheses there is essentially how many sleep rounds or how many cold rounds that you have.
Okay.
But as far as like keeping track of ammo for like your Mac 12, unless you have an ability that says empties the mag,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Because ultimately we haven't been given the tools to track ammo because there isn't anything that says this gun has this many rounds and so forth.
Okay.
It's more than we need to do for a one shot, and frankly, it's not necessarily the same kind of fun.
Right.
Here's one thing I did have a question about.
Yeah, man.
For example, like the PMG sniper lets you shoot through walls.
Yep.
Let's say I have sleep ammunition. Could I shoot my sleep ammunition through walls?
Yep.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yep.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Good night, fool. Okay, yeah, I think I got my ammo and my weapons picked out too now.
Nice, nice.
I'm definitely taking a Maw rocket.
Yeah.
I'm super glad you're doing that.
God, that's just
Yep.
that's
You absolutely,
beautiful.
positively need to kill that.
Talk about a
motherfucker in the
showstopper.
room.
For real. And that will stop me if I end up turning on you. So there you go.
That's why I took
Very
it.
important.
That's exactly why I took it. I'm actually gonna write. I'm gonna write your
EMP
name on it.
grenades.
Your name is gonna be
Oh,
written
thank
on
you.
that round.
Sentinel 7.
Yep. Sentinel
Nice.
7, baby.
I love it. Okay.
I went with smoke grenades and sleep rounds. So
Look at you just being all humanitarian and pleasant.
I just supposed to, it fits my character,
So another thing that we're going to do, like I said, we're not going to be first level characters per se. So there's going to be some loot table rolls. Michael has to leave in 5 minutes. We're going to keep going even after Michael's gone. But I do want to get my camera rolling on a loot table before he leaves.
Hell to the yeah. What type of roll do I need to make for this loot table?
D100. The loot table is on page 31 and 32 because it is, of course, 100 options long.
Oh, baby.
Those are the best kinds of tables. These are the dice I will be rolling, the very fancy metal ones. What are they going to provide today? Let's see. That's a 69. Good lord. My dice are 12.
So you have a deck module for targeting, which is like essentially like a piece of peripheral hardware attached to any decking kit. When decking with a decking roll, give an ally insight a guaranteed attack.
Ooh.
So this is something that you've picked up along the way, and you haven't gotten rid of, nor has it gotten destroyed yet.
I think that's the more impressive part.
Yeah. And then give me one more roll. We'll do 2.
Yes.
'Cause this
51.
51. So you have transponder shells. So you have 10 pieces of ammo that you can hit them with an LED dart, and then anybody decking against that target does easy on the roll, and any effort they roll against that target is ultimate.
Apparently, I've just been collecting gear for Andy this whole time. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, do you need this?
That's pretty cool.
Right. I was going to say I could use something like that.
All right, before I roll on this, I'm going to run to the bathroom.
All right.
I will return.
And then Michael, on page 38 is the milestone, is where it talks about milestone rewards and leveling up. So we'll be effectively milestone 3, but that was one of the rolls. One of the rolls is for shits and giggles. One of those loot table rolls was for milestone 3. So you will have the benefit of milestone level, or of level 2. So you can pick either a milestone tag, milestone loot, which is in your type breakdown, or a new psionic power or cybernetic enhancement. And the milestone tags are on page 39 and 40. And so you can just, if you have questions about anything or have any ideas for something that's not on there, just shoot me a message offline.
I will absolutely reach out, my friend. Guys, it's been awesome. I wish you all the best. Roll really well, and tell you what, if the decker happens to get some psychic bullshit, let me know. We'll switch up some things, okay, buddy?
All right. Sounds good.
Be good, everybody.
See you, Michael.
Later. Night.
Oh, now we'll have to move Groovy over. That's a little.
Nah, maybe.
Guys, everybody's
Yeah, you can
position's going
leave it where it is. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, yeah. Dave, do you want to roll on some loot table action?
I'd love to.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Loot tables are my favorite. D100 roll, please.
32.
32. Nice. You have a seeker drone.
What?
You have three seeker drones. You can have it fly out, seek, and attack a single target every round for D6 rounds. It does gun effort.
Okay.
That's super cool.
That's not bad. Seeker drone, I'll take it. And the next one is...
Yeah.
That is a 95.
95. You have a retrieval bot. It can move far on any surface, retrieves any object or person up to 300 pounds in one round.
Wow.
So you've got drones.
I guess so. I'm the drone guy.
Michael has stuff for hacking. You have drones. I love how loot tables work sometimes. That's hilarious.
That is. And then what was the milestone thing?
So you will get the second level milestone. So you can either pick a milestone tag, which is on page a list of which is on page 38, 39, or 40.
Okay.
Or one of the milestone loot pieces, which is under your type. Or a psionic power, or another cybernetic enhancement.
Okay.
So you have a bunch of insane options.
Yeah.
To think about in that way. Who wants to roll some loot?
I do. Me.
All right.
Go for it.
Give me a D100 roll, Kirk. Let's see what kind of weird loot.
I
How
got a 92.
the table pigeonholes your character. 92. So you have a Remora drive. It's a solid state drive. Acquire any witnessed psionic ability as a decking program.
What?
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 You
That's
can do
crazy.
any psionic
What?
ability as a program.
Yeah.
Whoa. You're a psionic robot now.
Oh, sweet. Oh, okay.
That's nuts.
Okay, Remora Drive. Remora. Okay. I gotta put this in my character sheet.
I think my character concept is changing based on my loot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's totally okay.
Yeah. Because I think I'm gonna take drone swarm bombs as my milestone loot.
Nice.
Tell me what that does.
A shifting flotilla of explosive ordnance that homes in on a single target. 3 uses, micro drones fly to target, latch on, detonating 1 round later for 3 times ultimate damage.
It's amazing. Oh, that's dope. All right, Kirk, give us one more loot table roll.
So it says any psionic ability I witness? Does that mean I can have multiple?
Yep.
Wow, that's insane.
I'll probably figure out like a mini mechanic for how to. It'll just be a roll or something. But yeah,
Okay. All right. Let me roll again.
yeah.
60.
60 is cybernetic optics implant. Fail any scout or spotting roll only on a 1.
Oh wow, that kind of goes. I already have cybernetic optics.
And now you have even better.
Cyber optic implant.
Or
Yeah.
cyber trace optics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Your robotic eye has an implant.
My robotic implant eye has an implant in it.
That's
It
right.
has an update. It
Yep.
has an automatic update.
You've got your camera 1, camera 2, camera 1,
Yeah.
camera 2. Nice. That's cool.
Nice.
All right,
All
Andy,
right, should
you got a
roll for
nice
some
rolling
loot?
ability.
Yeah, I'm just using Google, so I'll just roll
Okay.
5 d20s.
I mean,
Or do you want to
You
roll
can
it
do
for
a
me?
D100.
yeah,
Just-
Google should let you roll
On
it.
Google? It only goes up to 20.
Just write into Google dice roller, and there's a Wizards of the Coast one that'll pop up in the first 3
Yeah.
3 results, and just go there, and you'll be able to roll a D100.
Wizards of the Coast? Wizards.com?
Sure. Yep.
Do
I think
it.
that's it. Ooh, these milestone tags are pretty good though too.
They're dope.
Yeah, like deadly
Okay.
on a natural 19 or 20, any humanoid-sized target dies instantly.
Hmm.
Okay, 88.
88. All right. Let's see. you have Adrenaline Huffer.
I'll trade you.
It's a 4-use micro inhaler of adrenaline vapor. Gain 1d10 stat points for 1 day.
Adrenaline
Huffer. That's huge, dude. Of course, you could, like as is with all drugs, you could just roll a 1. I have 1 stat point or 10 extra stat points for the day. That's massive. That's super cool.
4 uses.
4 uses.
Micro inhaler of adrenaline vapor gain 1d10 stat points for 1 day. Whoa.
Yeah.
Stat points.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So you can just, I need to bump stuff up. Let's do
Instantly boost myself. Yeah. Whoa, that's crazy. But there's 4 uses.
Mhm.
Right.
Excuse me.
Okay. All right.
And
Should I roll my next one?
One more. Yep. One more roll.
Uh, 56.
56. You have a reflex link attached to any weapon. If hit for 6 or more damage, get a free attack against your assailant. So if I attack you and do 6 damage to you or greater, you get a free attack.
Oh, nice. So it's
Against
kind
that
of like,
person.
yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
kind of like a reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was 56. All right.
Nice.
Cool. You have to. Oh, so you have to attach it to the weapon that you want to use to
Yep.
do the
Yep.
reactive.
Yeah,
Okay.
you say, okay, my pistol or whatever. My sword or my gyro knives.
Nice.
Gyro knives would be the best one to take because you can attack both melee and ranged with them. I mean, realistically, you can shoot somebody who's right next to you, and that's fine.
Right. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out my weapons. I haven't
Yeah.
really settled on that yet.
Yeah, and then you guys will get to
Cool.
pick either one of the milestone tags on page 39 and 40, or one of the milestone loots, which is in your type, so decking or exo, or a psionic power, or a new cybernetic enhancement as like the final piece of like level up stuff.
Okay. Whoa.
And it's a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's a big list.
Yeah.
So could you say that again, what I would need to pick from there?
Yeah. So either one, so it's one of either a milestone tag, a milestone loot, and the milestone loots again are under your type, a psionic power, or a cybernetic enhancement, i.e. from that cybernetic enhancement table, or the enhancement table in character creation.
So one of all of those, like a
Nope.
choice, but it's
Yep, it's one
but just from
one of those things.
one total.
Yep.
Yeah, but from all of those lists, right? Okay.
Yes, you get to choose one thing from all of those lists total.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not one from each list, but one total.
Yeah. Yep. Where's the milestone
Tags?
loot?
Oh, the
I
milestone
see
loot
the
is
tags on.
milestone loot is on page, for you it'll be on page 12 for the milestone loot.
Okay.
They're written as milestone rewards, but
Oh, okay.
I think, or is there also am I just remembering things wrong? And there's also a page for milestone loot. Let's look. Nope. This is some sweet sets of stuff so far,
Yeah.
boys. Got some good ideas.
Tough decisions, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Milestones are tough.
yeah. Yeah, the abilities are huge. Those milestone tags,
Mm-hmm.
those are baller. And but like some of these milestone rewards too, like for the types, like Kirk's milestone rewards choice is magnetic shield. If a foe has shot you, you can pull them close with strength. Or a jump jet. Once per location, move far at any time. At any time.
That's
Or
pretty
nano
sick.
arm rack. Guns and
Oh, the
armor
magnetic-
occupy
that's-
no inventory slots,
Yeah, that's nice too.
which is huge. Just less worried about. I'm less worried about inventory slots. Technically, you can carry 10 things in your inventory, but I'm sure we won't ever get close to 10 things. Or we might. I'm not worried about it, but yeah, Dave. Yeah,
How would
go ahead.
how would you get these milestone rewards? Like, can you
Normally?
get those in game as well? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So on page 38 is essentially like the level up chart.
Okay.
And yeah, at level 2 you get like a milestone reward, essentially, whether it's milestone loot or milestone tag or whatever. Or at any time, we find, like, if we were running a long form game, if it was, if it narratively made sense that you would, oh, you got this thing,
Oh, I see.
Oh,
And-
so page 40 is also
I've-
milestone loot. So you also have
Can
the
you-
option to choose. Yeah,
You can go off that
Sorry,
too.
go- yeah. So yeah, page 40 and 39, and then your
Or the
your
things
type
under the
page.
character.
Yeah.
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 Wow. That's a lot. Jeez.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, I have so much drone stuff.
But the nice thing too is, like, milestone loot is also a rollable table. So if you can't choose and you're like, I want more loot, just roll that d20, see what comes up, because that's always fun too.
Right.
Yeah, these milestone tags. Blade Master cannot be harmed by bladed weapons. It shouldn't say Blade Master. It should just say Master of Blades.
I went with blessed,
Nice.
so I just take half damage from any enemies that would harm me.
Nice. That's gonna come in handy for you. I guarantee it.
I have a feeling. Combine that with my any psionic ability witnessed becomes a deck program for me.
Yeah.
And having a psionic in our party, I can witness many psionic abilities.
Yeah.
Michael's uniqueness just faded. His character, you're just gonna be able to ape anything he does.
Yeah. Oh, I see you did something really cool. I'll do that too.
Andy, are you interested in a couple of seeker drones and a retrieval bot by any chance?
Possibly in exchange for something.
Yeah.
No, he's just gonna take it.
Your adrenaline. You want the adrenaline huffer? Is that what you
Yes,
want?
sir, I do. That's exactly what I
Uh,
want. Seeker drones and a
would kinda suit
retrieval
your-
bot. That's a pretty juicy trade. I need my fix.
Secret drones. I gotta look at them. I gotta look at the loot page. Hold on.
Secret drone is number 32.
Nice, nice. What was the other one?
Retrieval
Repair
bot.
drones?
I think that's 80.
Retrieval bot.
Where is that? 90. 95? Yeah, 95.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would trade you.
All right,
Nice.
done.
I'm open to that. Yeah.
Wait.
So the adrenaline huffer for those two things.
Yep,
I think game-wise, I think that'd be pretty sweet.
it makes sense to my character build.
What do you got, Kurt?
Yeah.
I might have to switch. No, I can't. No, I can't. Never mind. I just saw consistent.
Mm.
Once per location, instant hit one target.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
But that's not insta kill. And I was thinking
Right.
I was thinking insta kill, and I was just thinking how awesome that would be. But
What you want is decimator rounds. Highly illegal. These rounds shred a single target. Ammo, 3 uses. On a successful attack roll, microflechettes ignore armor and instantly reduce a single human-sized target to 0 hit points.
yeah, that's nice. That's really nice.
That's fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. Oh, it's so good.
What?
And I
what,
also saw this healing thing, nanite injector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would be good for you too.
I know I'm between these. I can't have both though. I got to go
Yeah.
with blessed.
Yeah, blessed is good. Human shield. Or robot shield at any rate.
What were you saying, Dave?
I was going to ask where that adrenaline huffer thing is located on the loot table.
Oh. Oh, I can't remember the number now. Hold on.
Was that 5th? No.
It was my first.
Oh, I got it.
roll.
88. 88. I got it.
Yeah.
88. Yeah, I remember it was kind of high.
Is that okay, Chad, if we trade?
Absolutely, my friend.
All right.
Absolutely.
I forgot. Oh yeah, there it is. 95.
And you can always, the nice thing about these PDFs is these are real PDFs. So you can always control F on them.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget that because I have so many like cheap PDFs that are essentially just image copies
Mm.
instead of text full
Yeah,
text
you can't
copies.
search them.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Merciless is so good for a milestone tag. Modified 15 plus attack again. If the second roll hits, it does ultimate.
That's pretty cool. Mm.
Replenisher. What if I took Replenisher and I went with Maw Rocket as my... Is that possible even?
So-
I don't think that's possible.
It's not.
No,
yeah,
'cause
that's not a type of ammo.
Right.
As much as technically it is an ammo, it's more considered the
Yeah, it's under a different category.
yeah.
Otherwise, that might break the world.
Well, I mean that would be like if you got Replenisher and later on in a further level up got Decimator rounds,
Yeah.
you know, then yes, yeah, I'm gonna kill everything all the time.
Yeah.
It's a human, it's dead. I don't even care. Yeah, buddy.
Safe cracker.
Hmm.
Just as an FYI, Chad, for my enhancements,
Yeah.
I took Tack Link, but I'd like to try to figure out how to reflavor that to be more about sort of my drug use and or mutation. So it's kind of like having an itchy trigger finger, basically, in my mind. Never caught flat-footed.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's, you know, maybe it's just essentially like you know, it's like a kind of a drug or mutation kind of side effect or whatever that allows you to kind of like, you know, enter that kind of that flow state, you know, or you know, mushin, if you want to use the Japanese term, or mind no mind, allows you to, you know, you're kind of flowing down everything and you're able to understand targets and react, and that could easily be just either a function of drug use or a function of your mutation. Like, you know, like you know, like you could almost look at it like Wolverine's like heightened animal senses are essentially a mutation of a tactical data link. You know.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And I'm gonna go. I'm taking the milestone tag artist.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
What's that one do?
You always do +4
at
effort with your chosen weapon.
Nice. Artiste.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. There we go. So I have to choose one weapon. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be my Mac 12. I'm an artiste.
Yeah.
I kind of view, you know, the use of that particular instrument as the way that I sign my name on a painting at the end of completing a beautiful work of art.
It's a handprint.
Just and it just says
Nice.
character name.
Yep. I like it. I like it.
Nice. So what do we have left to do after all those choices?
It's really about it.
That's awesome. I'm ready to play.
Yeah. Like character names. You know, ultimately, like, you know, we can come up with some names or whatever for links and bonds, that kind of stuff. But
I named my bond Hospital Core. And my link is Dr. Death.
hospital. You mean the other way around?
No, because I feel like, because the link it said was more like your emotional.
No, that's the bond.
connection.
Yeah, the link is like
Oh, you're absolutely right.
The link is like your professional, your
Think LinkedIn.
your professional associate, and then the bond is your personal associate.
Yep. Yeah, I mixed them around.
Well, this is great, Chad. I like doing the session zeros. You know that I'm a big fan, so
Yeah.
I think it's fun to go through this stuff together,
Me too.
especially
Good,
for
me
a new
too.
system.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've definitely got some cool ideas for integration.
Nice.
'Cause I know I've talked about this a little bit with Dave, and I haven't so much with you guys. Like as far as like the game, like I have essentially an outline of like plot points. Like I kind of have, I know where I want it, where it's going to start, and I have a really good idea of how it's going to end, and I have some places written down, essentially like choice points or whatever. And then I have some ideas of how you might or of options that you can respond, how you can respond to certain things, so that I can build it out, and this will help me build out some more of those, and then, but also like put in it, also help interject some cool, like, personal stakes and that kind of stuff that you would get in a long form game. Because one of the problems I have watching people play one shot is it's like, yay, this literally just feels like most of the time like people just playing characters they are in a one shot, and it's not like it's not as invested, and I want to try to make it a little more invested. In this case, that means getting cool points out of you for your characters that I can use and tweak and turn the screws on, and or maybe they're bad guys. Oh, now your Bond is a bad guy now. You have to make a choice. That kind of stuff, should make for some really fun and interesting role playing, and hopefully a one shot.
Actually, I was actually thinking about that myself, because you mentioned Bond turning into a bad guy. And I kind of look at my Bond as having turned into a bad guy in the eyes of my being a doctor bot. And my Bond having been a doctor that saved lives, now dealing death to people.
Yeah. So when you say dealing death, like is he like is your Bond like become like this, like, I don't know, stereotypical like action movie like evil doctor, like now he's working for the Nazis, like, or like?
I was thinking, yeah, kinda like he has. So he did it originally. He became a doctor maybe because his family wanted him to be a doctor or something, and he was good at it and saved a lot of lives, but ended up liking the monetary side of it more than the doctor side of it, and turned it into like well, it's easier to kill people, and I know how to kill people. I mean, I know how to save people, so killing people is easy.
I also know how to take them apart.
Yep. So.
Okay. Cool.
And maybe my character struggles with that, having been so close to this doctor and seeing him so far down this separate path.
So here's another question, session 0 wise. I know Michael's not here, but that's his problem. What is just from a kind of sort of what's the word for it? Kind of group. Oh wait, I have it open to a page. A social contract stuff, right? Like us as players and Dungeon Master or whatever, like, are there like topics or things that you're not necessarily comfortable with being in the game? And if it's something that you don't necessarily want to talk about online, that's cool. Like,
I think it'd be safe to say like racism,
violence against children. Yeah, racism.
Racism, I think, for me would be something that I'm not interested in sort of delving too far into.
Right.
It's too real to deal. It's already happening all around us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. Unless we're killing racist people, in which case I'd be down to. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm with Dave on that.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Like violence against children?
No, bring it on, man. Fuck them.
Okay. All right.
I'm kidding. I love kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say gratuitous. That'd be if it was a plot point, but not something that you necessarily are going to be describing to us. Like I think that might be okay for me. But I think if you were to do a lot of descriptive stuff like that, it would probably turn me off.
Yep. I mean, even if we're going into that realm, like, I mean, rape isn't necessarily something I'm a big fan of either.
You aren't?
Yeah. Like,
Nah, no, it's disturbing.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like if you're gonna go into
yeah, we're gonna
descriptive,
go, yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But as a plot,
there's
as
a
a
place-
plot point, I don't have a
right.
problem with stuff like that. But it's in the way that it's used to like, if
Right.
you're gonna try to
Yeah.
use it to make us feel uncomfortable by describing weird scenarios.
into
Yeah,
that.
none of us. We've played with each other long enough that we know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Are there any like body horror things that I should be careful of? Because, you know, with cybernetics and robots and mutants and psychics, you know, we could easily get into some like weird, like, oh, and, you know, like this thing comes out of its eyeball and it explodes his eyeball viscera all over you. And some people I know, evidently, I don't understand it, but some people have a thing about eyeballs.
Nope.
no, that doesn't bother me.
no,
Okay.
no.
Just makes me think of the Hulk when he grabs something and just opens the mouth too far.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Reminds me of
Yeah.
the human centipede.
Oh,
Oh man.
I'm not
Oh
into that.
man.
Yeah,
I don't need it. I'm okay.
let's not go that far.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess Dave's really so far the only person. Well, Dave and Michael have played under me, right, with me as a DM. But I think your guys' experiences with me as a player, like, I'm definitely into describing like the really cool shit. I love to set really good scenes. At least I hope that I can set really good scenes, and you know, and whether that's horror or creepiness or like epic, cool, awe-inspiring shit, I like to do that. So I'm not really about rape. Like if there's a plot point that somebody's getting raped, it's somebody's getting raped. What are you gonna do? We're
Yeah.
gonna make it really
Yeah.
easy for you. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Nothing? Oh, you're the guy. You're the guy.
Were you? Yeah. You're in a frat.
Open their mouth too far.
Yeah. Or open their mouth too
Climb
far.
into their body.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
we're
one
ultimately
thing-
we're like good guys, right? I mean, we're
You are a good
criminals,
guy.
but we're sort of like not Robin
Criminal's a
Hood,
tough
but
word, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
We
You're
could even
less,
be anti-heroes.
yeah. So in like a lot of cyberpunk stuff, you know, you're very much, everybody is very much usually like very anti-hero, very much leaning into like the criminal, like mobster underworld type stuff. And there is a little bit of that, but this is like, I'm really shooting for, you're not necessarily like the do-gooder, but you are also a little bit of the do-gooder. Like you're kind of you can be the gritty do-gooder, but what I don't want is for you to be just the gritty criminal guy, because that's not this game,
hmm
if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. And you don't have to be goody two-shoes, you know, either.
My character may have some issues with the biological beings and their like hygiene and stuff. Like I'm not gonna relate to him much of that.
You're a neat freak.
Well, I'm just not gonna relate because like I don't sweat. I'm not gonna need to take a shower. Like
Or breathe.
yeah, I don't need to breathe. Like I don't necessarily feel pain in the same respect as you guys. So
So my question is do you work to keep yourself shiny?
you know, I would say I work to keep myself fully functional, 100%
Okay.
functional. So if I may have dents and dings, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
If they start affecting how I function as a robot, I'm gonna be like, well,
But
just like, I'm
appearances-
gonna run a diagnostic here, you know.
Appearances are less what you're worried about.
Yep.
Okay.
Kirk,
cool.
the real
So-
question is, are you going to do a robot voice during the game?
I'm leaning towards it. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna try to stay as monotone as possible. If you guys notice I'm starting to get emotional or anything like that, just if you want to just type me a message or something, because I am gonna try and play that off.
Nice.
Dude, settle down. You're a robot.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna
That's
try and
great.
keep it
That's
pretty
fun.
robotic. So.
Yeah, that's great, man. That'll be super fun.
Nice.
Nice.
So another kind of table stuff, point of order. So the way this game really works, like around a table, instead of like rolling initiative, like we do in say D&D, every freaking time there's a combat encounter or whatever, we're just gonna go around. You would just go around the table, like as a GM, I describe a scene, whether it's a combat or a role-playing scene or whatever it is. Like, here's the scene, here's kind of the context. Andy, what are you doing? And then, you know, oh, I'm attacking her, I'm interacting with it in this way. Okay. And, you know, and then we go to the next person and kind of so forth. So probably what we'll do is like roll initiative, like actually roll initiative, since I don't want to have created these this overlay and then just always have it be in that order, especially since I very arbitrarily put the names where they are, but I don't want people to be stuck in that unless you guys want to, and that's fine too, as far as the initiative order. But we'll always go in the same order, and we can, and you'll be able to like cross interact, like that's not a problem, like when we're not like in combat, but I also want to be able to allow people, as part of the issue that I think everybody's game has in this kind of internet format of it's really easy to talk over somebody. So I want to be very specific, and I want us to be very careful. And this is probably a thing we could even do in our Saltmarsh game, is be really intentional about how and when we're talking and describing something. So like if Andy's like, I'm interacting with the scene in this way, and then maybe we just have to invent a sign. Like, I'm going to wave my sign in this way. That means I have something that might be, so that way I'm not just talking over you. So yeah, I want to try to incorporate a little bit more. And we usually do okay, but sometimes we get a little yappy, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's what you do.
I think it's good to bring that up though, Chad. I am in full agreement with you on that.
And especially in like as this is a one shot that, you know, we're going to be playing for 2 sessions ultimately, and it'll be a good amount of chunk of time, longer, essentially 2 of our normal sessions. I want to be able to keep things moving where they need to be, and I don't want to get necessarily bogged down in things where they don't need to be, because I don't want to get to the end of like these 2 sessions at the end of the one shot and really only be in the first room.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Because as much as that's not always a bad thing, you know, I also want us, like, I have this really cool idea for a plot and a story, and I think you guys will really engage with it, and it'll be fun, and I want to get you guys through it as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm a big fan of keeping things moving.
Yeah. One of the things mechanically that we're gonna do, and we'll talk about, I'll kind of describe this a little bit too, once we're actually in session 1 and you see because I created essentially a HUD, so it almost looks like a video game layout of the maps. So there's a section in the map, or in the HUD, that is for a timer, which is just like a countdown clock that when it, like, in D4 rounds, the bad guys are, you know, the cops are going to show up, and I'll count down, and then so sometimes it'll be very obvious, like I'll say to you, hey, this is going to happen in this many rounds or whatever, and sometimes I'll just throw numbers up there for my own stuff, and then you'll have to either wait and find out or try to get the hell out of the scene before whatever that is happens. But so that's another kind of mechanical inherent way to the system that I'll use to create tension and keep things moving as well. So yeah.
Sweet.
You guys got any more questions? Anything that you want to know beyond what we've talked about or done?
Not me. I think
Okay.
I'm going to review sort of the rules, you know, the turns and the actions and stuff ahead of time, obviously, and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
no, this is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna read through this latest PDF we got.
It's a good read.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's better to go through the Altered State one as opposed to focus on the index card one as much.
Yeah, rules. So the quick start rules is a good thing to look at. As far as like the dice mechanics and all that kind of stuff is all the same, right? And like movement and there are a few things that are a little bit different versus what this is, but it is good to have, because my other option is to get you the full book, which you could go buy if you wanted to. It's just called Index Card RPG Second Edition, and that's the full book of the like edition of the system that Altered State was created for. But like the quick start rule, you'll be fine with the quick start rule.
Yeah, it's probably not necessary.
Yeah. And then there's a few additions in Index Card RPG, or in the Altered State rule. Like everybody automatically has, so there's like essentially like inspiration in D&D, where you just call them hero coins. You can use to do cool stuff, and that's in Index Card RPG. So you can use them. Everyone will have one. You'll be able to spend them to do a few different things. But then everybody also has Surge, which is
4 Surge capsules.
You have essentially 4 doses of a drug that gives you a D8 to add to recovery rolls or attack rolls or effort rolls, or to take less damage, different things like that. Bend the rules of movement, do some matrix shit, and you'll have 4 of those. So there's going to be a few different things that you'll have that are kind of between Surge and hero coins that'll allow you to kind of do some extra, even more extra stuff than you already can do as Altered State characters. But yeah, taking a look at the other. Yeah. And as you look through the Altered State book and some of the material that I put out, the setting stuff, I'm just gonna pick it, but we will be starting at some place in Shinru City, which is like a mega city. Part of it is still like a city, like a used light powers on city, but large sections of it are also no power, so, and that's maybe, it sounds like that's probably going to be like a section where like this hospital is that you guys use as your headquarters, or at least where you met, or where Kirk's character is from. And maybe it's got backup generators, which is why it still is, some of the stuff is able to operate when other things maybe around it aren't. But I'm sure that our adventure will take us to many points far and wide across the planet, possibly. So yeah. So if that's everything from you guys, I guess we'll close out. So hey, everyone out there on the internet, the like one person watching us, hopefully it's more than one. I thank you so much for joining us for this kind of insane rambling look at our session 0. It was fun for me. I got a lot out of it. Hopefully it's a good example of what you can do in a session 0, or hopefully, if anything, it is at least entertaining. Yeah, we'll have the actual sessions out very shortly in our real world time, and even shorter probably for your internet time. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is the Superior Adventurers Guild. Peace.